What's going on, guys? Not Pokemon, back again with a brand new video. We are here for our FIA race here at Alsace. Trust me, it's pronounced Alsace. I looked it up on YouTube. You guys can't get me on the comments down below. I know it's pronounced Alsace. I know some people pronounce Alsace, Alsace, Alsac. I don't know. But anyways, we're here for our FIA races. We are in a, I think, third or fourth split lobby. As you can see, the first place driver will only get 200 points. So we're gonna see what we can do here as we are in our Aston Martin Group 4 car. A lot of cars that were doing really well around this track, especially on the top 10 leaderboards, were front wheel drive cars. So not looking too forward to this race, as I wasn't having the best amount of confidence on this track, as I had honestly hardly ever raced on this track. This was kind of like my very first time racing around this track for an FIA race, or just for a serious race in general. But we're gonna see what we can do here with the Aston Martin, see if we can put ourselves in a good position to at least finish in an alright spot and collect some points here for the championship, and also collect some DR for our records. So before we jump into it, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that is enough promoting myself. Let's jump straight into qualifying. Jumping into qualifying now, our goal here is going to be to try to get a 2 flat, and if we can get to the 159s, that'd be great also. But we do have to rely on the slipstream if we want to get the 159, as with the slipstream you can easily gain about half a second, even a second, if you are able to time it correctly. But coming out of the final corner on our first flyer lap, we were only able to get a 201.064, about an entire second away from the pole position, as pole position was in the Aston Martin. So it just shows that we are just tremendously slow on this racetrack. So we're gonna have a lot of hard work to do if we want to try to get into a podium, or try to at least get a win here at Alsace. So jumping to the intro, the strategy for this race was to use the softs and the mediums, as those were only 2 compounds given to us. The mediums were required, so we were going to use the softs for 2 stints and then switch off to mediums on our final stop. The fuel consumption wasn't too bad, but you did have to keep an eye on it, as you can easily run out of fuel if you push the car a little too much. So we're going to just keep an eye on our fuel, keep an eye on our tires, do this 2-stop, and see if we can make up as many positions as we can and avoid running out of fuel on the final lap, as well as making sure that we use all the required compounds. Jumping into the race now, we get our 3, 2, 1, and away we go as we are coming out of the final corner. Not a really big fan of where it starts you off on this race, as you see we lose a little bit of time to the car ahead of us already, so we're crossing the start-finish line to make our way to the first corner. Heading to the first corner, you can see the Ferrari right behind us is getting very, very close, as we get a little bit loose coming out of the corner, and that's going to hurt us ever so slightly, because we have to catch up to that Chevy right ahead of us to stay in the slipstream and save some fuel. But we have a long way ahead of us to try to catch up to him now, as we are heading to the middle part of lap number 1. So onto the left-hander, the Chevy goes very, very wide as he misses his apex completely, and we are able to catch up to him now, as we are all over his back bumper heading to this banky curvy corner. Going onto the inside of him, we're gonna try to take a peek, see if we can make an overtake here as we're coming out of the corner, and we are now going side by side. So we're gonna head onto the outside of this left right-hander here, going into the hairpin. The Chevy backs out, which is a good move on him, but he actually misses braking point just a little bit, almost runs into the back of us, but luckily he was able to keep it on the outside, and it is gonna lose a position to the Ferrari now, as we set our sights on the McLaren right ahead. So heading out of the left-hand corner, the McLaren decides to take a scenic route. He almost goes into the guardrail, and you can see how much time he actually lost to us, as we are now gaining time on him heading into the final couple of corners. Going into the right-hander, he goes a little bit wide, as I think he just took too much speed into that corner, and that allows us to catch up to his back bumper, as we are now about to kiss his rear end as we are going into the outside. Going into the inside just a little bit as we try to scare him going into turn number 1 on lap number 2. He defends the inside as we try to make a cutback. Getting onto the throttle a little bit earlier than him, we actually make contact with his rear bumper, and that allows the Ferrari to catch up to us now, as he's keeping a little peak on the right-hand side, but he backs out of the move there as we now go single file into the straight. So losing some SR there because of the contact that we made with the McLaren. It's going to hurt us in the long run with our SR, but we have to continue on forward, as we are again putting pressure on the McLaren, as we are now going to shift onto the outside of this banky corner, heading to the curvy right-hander. We're staying on the outside as the McLaren does do like a little switch, and he goes onto the left-hand side as he allows the apex to just pull him off to the left. We accidentally make contact with him once again, So 2 times in this lap we've made contact with the McLaren as the Ferrari takes again a little peek, but decides to make a smart move and just back out of there, as this is kind of a single file corner, and you do not want to go double wide in there, as we're now heading to this slow uphill left-hander. So again, on the back of the McLaren, we didn't gain any time on him, as we are now jumping into the third lap. The McLaren shifts onto the inside as he's trying to defend his position once again as we head into the first corner. On the right-hander here, we decide to get very, very close to the Ferrari as he's taking a look onto the outside now. So we're going side by side, uphill, going into the penalty zone. The Ferrari actually has to serve his penalty, so he told me later on in the race that he actually got a penalty after making contact with me, but I honestly don't know when he made contact with me, as it didn't look like he made contact with us at all. But we're going to have to just take advantage of that. We have no pressure behind us as the McLaren gets very, very loose, clips the grass, and we take a look onto the outside. It's going to turn into the inside on this left-hander. Make the easy overtake on the McLaren. We now shift up into 8th place, as that's kind of what we needed to do, because the McLaren was just holding us up. We need to catch up to these guys ahead of us so that we can get into the lead pack, stay in the slipstream, and see if we can fight for this podium now and save some fuel for our final stop. So jumping a little more forward, as we are now on lap number 5, we're able to catch up to the group ahead of us, but unfortunately they were fighting with each other, so all they were doing was slowing themselves down, and we get caught up in the middle of it, as we're now going to be slowing ourselves with them, since we are now in this pack here. And you can see on the mini map, the pack right ahead of 4 cars are able to get away, as we are now coming into this long right-hander. So on this curvy right-hander, once again we take a look onto the inside of the Chevy. And are we able to pinch him out? Yes, we are. We give him a little bit of a push out, but he's still fighting strong as he's holding off onto the inside as we go into the hairpin. Side by side as we head to the hairpin, he's trying to keep it onto the outside as we brake very, very late as we try to secure our position, but the Chevy makes an easy cutback, goes onto the inside, retakes 7th place, and we are now demoted back into 8th place as we have the McLaren right behind us. So inviting the McLaren to the party, it's now turned into a 5-car race for this 5th place position. And again, this is not what we need right now, because we do not want to be fighting with these guys, as you can see the top 4 are just now starting to just pull away, as I think they were just single file saving fuel, and this is not going to go well for our tires. We get very, very loose on that final corner, and the McLaren takes a little peek onto the inside but decides to jump into the pits. So now it's going to turn back into a 4-car race here with the Chevy and the Mazda, and as well as the Mercedes. We head into turn number 1. Coming out of here, we're just staying behind the slipstream of the Chevy as we're short shifting to save some fuel, but we are also abusing our tires because we just keep fighting with them as the Mercedes goes wide, tries to cut some grass on the left-hand side. They're now going to go 3 wide into this right-hander as the Mercedes backs out, says I had enough of this, and we're able to overtake the Mercedes here as we miss our braking point for the left-hander. Go very, very wide. We got very lucky that we didn't clip the grass there, and we're able to stay right behind the Chevy and the Mazda now as we head into this right-hander. So jumping a little bit forward into the race, we're going to come into the pits right here as we're going to switch off from the softs to another set of softs. No fuel on this stop, not yet. We still want to save as much as we can and see how much we have on the final stop as we come out right behind this group of cars. And this is not what we need right here, as we are now inside of a, you guessed it, the McLaren that was right behind us earlier in the race. So stuck right behind the McLaren. It's a little bit frustrating here, is because I wanted to be right in front of him and actually ahead of this pack, as if we were ahead of this pack we could try to outrun them, but now we're stuck right behind them, so we have to lose some of our pace here as the Viper goes very, very wide on that right-hander. We have to slow down so we avoid making contact with him and risk losing even more SR than we already had on this race. But you can see that he's covering the insides, he's defending the inside, going into the hairpin. Heading to the hairpin, we try to sneak it onto the inside of the exit. We're able to do so here as we're going side by side onto the right-hander, and we are able to sweep around him on the inside, get the overtake, and we are now promoted into 12th place now as we head back into this race. So different strategies playing out around here as we're now crossing the start-finish line, and a little bit off sequence with a lot of these guys, so we were able to make up 4 positions there because of cars coming to the pits. So not sure exactly where we're falling at with our strategy here, because everyone's just so separated and on such different strategies. It's really hard to predict where we're gonna be at now, but all I know is that we're fighting here for 5th place position as it's being led by the Ferrari, and we're getting stuck right behind the Chevy as he's gonna come into the inside and come into the pits. So the Chevy comes into the pits, we get promoted into 7th place as we have to set our sights once again on the McLaren and the Ferrari as they're fighting with each other a little forward on this lap right here. We have to stay right behind them here, just stay right behind the slipstream, save as much fuel as you can once again as we head into the hairpin. And I think we should be alright here as we do have a good gap between us and the 8th place driver. So waiting until about lap number 12 or 13 to come back in, depending on how our tires are on the softs, and then we're going to switch off to the mediums, and then we're going to use those mediums all the way to the end of the race here as the McLaren is just now starting to lead this little train here of us and the Ferrari into you know, a little further into the race. So on lap number 11, we take a little peek onto the inside of the Ferrari, but we decided to think twice about it. Again, I do not want to abuse these tires. We're going to see if we can try to make these last as long as we can, since the McLaren is going to have to come into the pits. He did start off on the medium, so he's going to be on the soft compound tires. So if we could try to get around him, save as much fuel as we can, spend least amount of time as we can in the pits, maybe we could jump him here as the Ferrari comes into the pits. We now have our sights on the McLaren as he is promoted into 4th place. So on the right-hander here, we're staying right behind the McLaren as again we use this slipstream here to save some fuel, and the McLaren goes into the pits, so we use as much as we can right there as we now jump into lap number 13. The tires felt very, very good, so I decided to go an extra lap here as I should have probably came in at lap 12, but decided to just wait another lap here. But it kind of is going to come to haunt us here as we have another car right behind us, and it's actually the Mercedes. So he's pushing pressure on us as we're heading to the right-hander, and this is not going to be good for me because I don't want to be fighting with the car right now. I'm just trying to put as fast a lap as we can on these worn tires, but the Mercedes is all over our back bumper now as he's taking a little peek onto the inside. We're going to hold off the inside, heading to the right hairpin as we actually miss our braking point, clip the grass a little bit, make a costly mistake as that's probably going to cost us about a second or two, and we lose the position to the Mercedes. So not a really good in-lap here as we make a mistake and we had a fight with the Mercedes. So can't blame on anybody else besides ourselves. So we're going to come into the pits in 5th place and see where we come out as we do have a kind of a big gap between us and the 6th place driver. So hopefully that gap was big enough to hold ourselves up as we're going to go into the pits, switch from the softs to the mediums, and then put in a little bit of fuel here as we put about a lap of fuel. Come out of the pits, we are in 5th place as we're able to stay right ahead of the McLaren, but the McLaren is going to be on the soft, so we have to just defend as best as we can as we are on the mediums. But he is just very, very close to us now as he's getting the slipstream down the straight. Taking a little peek onto the outside as we head into the left hand, we're able to defend it just a little bit, but he's going to have the inside preferred line heading into the right hander, and we dive right in front of him as we slam the door right in front of him. Just aggressive racing here as we have to be as aggressive as we can. Heading to the left hander, the McLaren sells us a dummy as he keeps on to the inside, and he's able to just stay alongside of us, make an easy overtake as we try to get the cutbacks, go onto the left hand side of the McLaren, but he just gets too good of a run. We might lose 5th place right here for sure as we now head into the right hairpin here. So on the exit, see the McLaren how much traction he's able to get away from us as he is on the soft compound. We are on the mediums, and you can see how much it's costing us now as we're heading to the left-hander. Going into the left-hander right behind us, the car misses his apex, and you can see how much time we're able to gain away from him now as we now jump into lap number 17. So on lap number 17, we try to stay with the McLaren, but he was just too fast and too good of tire compounds to just stay with, and he pulled away very, very easily. As you can see, he's about 6 to 8 seconds away from us, and now we have to just try to coast our way all the way to the end as we have about 1 lap of fuel left, and there's 1 lap left in the race. So coming to the final few corners, I was trying to save as much fuel as we can as we do have about a second gap to the 7th place driver, but unfortunately it looks like we were unable to as we have about 0.0 laps left on the fuel. Just a couple more corners. Can the car hold enough fuel to make it to the end? As we get onto the throttle, you see it's getting a little bit quiet here as we go onto the throttle, and we have no engine power here as the McGann is able to overtake us on the outside. We lose 6th position. Are we going to lose any more positions now as we coasted past the line? And we're able to hold off a 7th place position just barely as we get tapped from behind from the Viper. And yeah, just amazing, crazy events as we did not save enough fuel to make it to the end. We were just basically half a straight away from crossing the start finish line and just making it with the fuel that we had, but we just ran out right at the last minute. So again, just can't blame anybody but ourselves, as we did overfuel the car on that final pit stop, but we just pushed it a little too hard on the final few laps, and we lost a lot of fuel because of that. Costed us dearly. We ended up finishing in the 7th place position instead of a 6th. So fought our way from 10th to 7th. I wish we could have fought our way from 10th to 6th, but it's all right. We were able to get at least 150 points added to our point standings, and we did all right for using the Aston Martin. But the best finishing Aston Martin was in 2nd place, so it just showed how much we were unprepared for this race and how slow of a pace we had compared to other drivers. But did as best as we can. Hopefully it was entertaining for you guys. If it was, please like and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And if you guys really like this video, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.